Videos by YGOSmurf. Be creative. Hi guys, so based off of the comments and the type of response I've gotten from my proxy video, would you use them? Link right here. I've decided that even though I didn't get the like requirement that I was looking for, obviously you guys want to see it. So, I mean, the point of the likes was to have you guys tell me that you want to see more of this, but you told me in other ways. That's perfectly fine. So here it is. How do I make my proxies? So first off, the materials. You're gonna need a printer. I've only tested this proxy method with inkjets, not laser jets, so be warned, if you have a laser jet, your proxy may come out differently, and I apologize. But that's the disclaimer. You need some paper. Preferably cardstock. Preferably two types of paper. A thicker type paper, which would be a cardstock, and then a thinner type paper that you'll want to try and get matte, or matte, or however you would actually pronounce that, M-A-T-T-E, that type of paper. It's got a nice gloss on it that keeps the cards kind of like shinier and a little bit more like, hey, this is something special than just regular old flimsy printer paper. It gives it that edge to it, as well as the matte has a nice texture and stops any ink from like smearing or smudging right after printing. For the cardstock, I just use kind of generic cardstock. I just Google it. I don't use any special type. It's regular thickness. But for the matte paper, depending on how thick you want your proxy to be, you could use the Espa Premium Matte Presentation Paper, either S041568 or S041341. Both of these papers will work out well, and it just depends on what type of proxy you want. If you want a thinner one, go with the thinner one. If you want a thicker one, go with the thicker one. You'll also need some adhesive, either glue sticks or spray glue, spray rubber adhesive. Don't use like white Elmer glue that comes in the bottle that's just like all liquidy. Don't do that. It'll ruin your cardstock and make it instantly look fake. So avoid that glue. You'll also need a cutting device. Definitely scissors would be the easiest option for this. X-Acto knives work well if you have a steady hand and are able to use sharp instruments without cutting people or yourself. And then there's also paper cutters. I'm talking about those big slidey ones, or even the ones that are rotary. These will help you get the most bang for your buck so your fingers don't get tired while you're cutting out your card, while still getting nice straight edges. I've broken down my proxy making into 4 steps. Step 1, find a picture. And this picture is whatever you want your proxy to be in the card space picture thing. The larger the picture, the better it's going to turn out when it gets shrink down to fit into the card size. Or alternatively, if you have a small picture that is super high res, that will work as well. Step 2, card layout. There are 2 main websites out there that I have found that you can make Yu-Gi-Oh cards with. There is YugiOhCardmaker.com or Yugico.com. Preferably, I do Yugico because I only care about making token proxies for right now, and Yu-Gi-Oh Card Maker does not offer a token variant, but Yu-Gi-Oh Co offers a token variant. So that's the one I'm favoring right here. So for the card layout, moving on, you have to make sure you copy all the status effects and for the card. I mean, technically this is optional, but with Scapegoat tokens, they have to say this card is a token, this card cannot be used as a sacrifice for a normal summon, I believe is what Scapegoats say. Stuff like that. I personally would add it to the tokens just to make sure, you know, you don't forget something, and it kind of makes the tokens add a cooler element than why didn't you just get regular Konami printed tokens. But if you're making a proxy for an actual card, make sure you copy down the effects, the type, the secondary type, the attack, defense, all that word for word. It'll make your proxy look a lot better. notice capitalization, punctuation, stuff like that, make sure you copy that down exactly, because it'll just make your proxies look even better. Step 3 is saving the image. So when you're getting ready to print, after your layout's all finished on Yu-Gi-Oh! Code preferably, and the picture is saved, you're going to want to copy paste that picture into a Word document. This can be done either by selecting the picture in a file folder, hitting Control V, or hitting the right button going down to copy, or dragging the picture into a blank Word document. There's a bunch of things. You should be able to figure it out. And then what you're going to want to do after that is you're going to want to resize the card. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are technically 3.38 high by 2.38 thick inches, or alternatively 243 by 171 pixels. And this can be seen in these pictures here. You're going to click on image. You can either double click it and the menu should appear, or you can right click the image, go down to resize or scale options. There's also a little tab at the top that says picture properties. Go to that and then you can change the size from there. It depends on which word you're using, but if it's new-ish, all of these things should be similar. Relatively straightforward for you to figure out from my examples. So the absolute maximum that you can fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is 9. Do not do this. You're going to want to stick to 6 on a page. And this is important because of how you have to put the proxies together. If you just care about having the single thin proxy, go for 9. By all means, your call. But if you want a more realistic proxy, stick with 6. And what you're going to do is leave plenty of space in between your proxies, so that way the next step goes smoothly. Step 4, you're going to want to print them out. So print out your card. Boom! The 6 or the 9, preferably the 6, on one page. Then go ahead and close to the exact same orientation that you did your actual proxy face-up ones. Do the back of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in that same manner. Print it out. You could just glue the proxies onto already pre-existing Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, which is what I did in the proxies that I gave away in my video. But if you want a better quality that I found out, that I discovered after making those proxies, you're going to want to print out your own backs and print out your own fronts. The backs will be printed on the heavier paper. The fronts will be printed out on your preferred type of matte paper. Next, you're going to cut out the cards. So don't cut out perfectly the cards. Try and get like a 1/4 of an inch on all sides. Cut that out. You want to leave the white space around the card. That's why you left space when you oriented the cards before printing. So make sure you keep some white on those cards. And you're going to want to try and be as exact as possible in your backs and your fronts. That way they line up properly when your end result happens. So once you have the white ones, what you're going to do is you're going to glue all over, including the white parts, with your glue stick. Making sure that you get especially the part that is the face, or rather the white part that is on the back of the face, for both the back of the card and the face of the card. You'll want to make sure you get those with really good glue. Then you're going to stick both sides with the white still on it together. Make sure it lines up. Don't press too hard right away. Make sure it press a little bit. Make sure it lines up perfectly. Then press hard. Put it under a heavy textbook, something like that. Leave it there for about 30 seconds. Stick glue dries really fast. If you're using spray glue, be careful. Do it outside. Make sure you're not doing it on anything you don't want to ruin. But once those are all lined up, and you have waited for the glue to dry, that's when you want to go and cut the white parts off. Be as careful as possible because you want your cards to look nice. So cut smoothly. Make sure your hands aren't very sweaty because that'll warp the cards. So if you need to, put on some gloves. It's fine. I'm talking if you have rubber gloves, those little mittens, anything. Just that way your hands aren't warping the card. Cut it out and bam! You have your proxy. And it should look real-ish, depending on the thickness, the type of picture you used, stuff like that. Like I said previously, alternatively, you could just print out the face and glue it on another card. If you're going to do that, I would still leave the white, because then you can glue on the card, make sure it lines up, and then you can get the face of it exactly lined up with the card using an X-Acto knife. If you use scissors, it's a little bit riskier. I think an X-Acto knife would be better for that practice. Hopefully this helped you guys when making proxies, and I'm glad I got a lot of feedback that you guys wanted to see how I make proxies. Have you ever seen any other proxy tutorials? How do I compare? Do you think I did good in the tutorial? Do you think my proxies will turn out well? Have they turned out well for you? Post them in the comments below. I'd love to see your results. Don't forget to like this video. Comment down below what your thoughts are. Share this video so your friends know what you're talking about. Subscribe to me if you deem me worthy. Have a wonderful day, guys.